Well, hello and welcome to a chilly December day, but it's a day that I have given myself a project outside, although I'm not totally outside. As you can see, I'm on the back deck. You'll also notice that I have a microphone now, so hopefully we have much better sound for our future videos. You're welcome. And thanks for subscribing. That's what was able to give us the indication that people want to see more and made us invest in the microphones. So, as you can see behind me, this is our bar. But I'm not really working on the bar today. I'm working on this little switch right here. This is an old switch, original with the boat, and it controls the two overhead lights here on the back deck. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work. The lights sometimes work, sometimes they don't. I've taken the switch apart, I've taken the lights apart, I've cleaned everything up. I thought I had everything fixed this summer, but it's not working. My thought is the switch is bad, and I'm going to replace this old switch with this new one. And hopefully that will solve my issue. The lights will occasionally go on, so if we leave the switch on for 15 minutes or something like that, it does seem like they will maybe turn on, sometimes one, sometimes both. Don't really understand why. So we're going to start with the switch and we're going to see if that's our issue. I know maybe watching me replace the switch isn't all that fun, but I don't know, maybe you're into it. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to get rid of most of the crap out of here and clear up some space for myself so I can do some work. Who needs a microphone when you have a bullhorn? Woohoo! Okay. Now that I've given myself some room here, this panel right here is going to have to come out. I've taken this panel out before. It's a real pain in the butt. When we first got this boat, this was just a kind of white, nasty, open cabinet. As you can see, we store a lot of random stuff in here. It's not just a bar. We have flares and fire extinguisher. We have random stuff like glow bracelets and sparklers and stuff too. But we mostly use it as a bar, so that's why we put this nice red background and the rubber mat down there to make it look a little bit nicer and make it pretty. Now my job is to remove this panel. Let's see how it goes. So I have the panel unscrewed, but it's really tight in there. And I know from experience that I have to take this little access hole out. So I'm gonna unscrew that right now. And I think before I put this back together, I'm gonna modify this panel just ever so slightly so that in the future, if I do ever have to take it out, I have a little bit more clearance. So I don't have to pull this thing out as well. So this stupid thing is blocking my way. And there we go. All right. Now we have access to the switch. Bit of a mess back here. As you can see, everything that comes from the fly bridge, all of the wiring and everything, the cabling for the throttles and everything, comes through this way. That's why that panel is in here. In general, everything looks like it's still connected, so that's good. Well, there it is. There's our little switch. So I'm gonna pull the wiring off this switch and attach it to the new switch and see if it turns the lights on and off. First, let's test to see if even just connecting these turns the lights on. And it's not. I've got no light. So there's this wire. This is where the power comes from. And if you can see it, it's pretty pretty corroded in there. So I'm going to see if I can try to clean that up a little bit and see if I can get 12 volts out of here. At this point, what I'm doing is I'm waiting. The corrosion that's on there is pretty bad. So I've done a little bit of sanding of those points, and I'm also letting them sit with some PB Blaster. My hope is that the PB Blaster will eat through any corrosion that I couldn't get with the sandpaper. On the one side, of course, of the connection, you know, it's the female end and I can't get any sandpaper in there. So my hope is that some of that PB Blaster will eat the corrosion away, and that'll help. So it's just a waiting game at this point. So I didn't think I was going to have to remove these speakers to fix a light, but the wire that I'm seeing in there with all that corrosion seems to come out and go up this arch. So I'm pulling off this speaker to see if I can see where that goes. Aha! So this is our wire right here. Now I have to figure out where the heck it goes and why it's not getting power. I've found another wire, another connection, which is the same blue and black wire, and it's actually labeled the same, that has power. I see I've got good power in there. That, I think, then goes somewhere up here, must be to something up on top of the arch, and then it comes back down, I guess. That's all I can figure out. So now what we're doing is, we know that the wire comes up into this arch, and I'm gonna look back in here and see if I can figure out where this goes. I'm suspecting it's going into the back of this receiver right here. So let's take a look. Well, I'm not seeing that wire anywhere in there. Not going into the back of the receiver. So it looks like this is going to have to come down. Almost none of these screws are holding anything. Okay, so I think I figured it out. So the wire's coming up here, and as you can see, I've got a light right here and a light right here. So I think that power switch, that power is coming up and it's powering these lights. The only reason I doubt that is that there's actually a switch right here. So this switch, which is on the bridge, turns on these lights. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Unless that power comes to the light first and then somehow ends up back at the bridge to make the connection at that switch. It's the only thing I could think of. So I know I have power coming up here. So now I've got to maybe take these lights off and see if I have power coming out of both of these lights, which I must. I must, because the switch is working. Scratching my head here. So that's my blue and black wire, and it terminates at this light. So as I said, I know that I have power to those lights. The other one that's coming up here must go to the other bulb because I'm only seeing one lamp on this side, or sorry, one wire on this side. So the other one must go over there. And then there must be a connection down in there somewhere that comes back up to the helm. Sorry, it's covered right now, but comes back up to the helm and runs that switch. Well, here we are back to our mess o' wiring. So you can see this is the wire that goes to the switch, and then this is where it plugs into. I'm not getting power here, but I do have power here. So here's the funny thing. I bypassed the switch. I just basically put the two connectors together. Still was getting no light. So I banged on the ceiling and the lights turned on. So I think the switch is actually okay. Although I don't like this switch, I'm gonna swap it out anyway. But as you can see, the lights are on. So there's some sort of loose wire up in there, I think. So I think that's where I'm gonna have to trace it. Anyway, let's put the new switch in. You know, this is the thing about old boats, about old anything. Traced all that wiring, came back and basically figured out in here where that power is coming from, cleaned everything up, and was able to figure out how to get the lights on. So as you can see, I now have a switch in place here. So this switch works like that. You might even be able to tell that the lights turn on and off. So what I thought would be a simple job of just grab my Dremel and cut out the extra space to make this switch didn't work because my Dremel, the little bit, is stuck. I can't get it out. That little locking button isn't working very well, so I was able to, thankfully, borrow one from my neighbor. Thank you, Tom. And was able to cut out the space. So let's see if you want to look on the back side. Cut out the space in the fiberglass to mount that switch. And that switch just holds in there with compression. And looks pretty good, I think. Pretty happy with the result. So now, got to put all this crap back together. And there we are. Lots of trouble that I didn't even need to worry about, but I was eventually able to get it all. You can see the bars back together there, and still maybe a little messy, but whatever, it's back together. And if I flip the switch, I got light. Pretty happy about that. Thanks for watching.